The price of Bitcoin is currently $27,855, and that makes me very excited for this week's weekly close because this weekend, just yesterday, as I pointed out, the Federal Reserve increased their balance sheet by $94.48 billion, putting this year, so far this year, in the past 2 weeks, the Fed has increased their balance sheet by $400 billion. That's a crazy amount of money. Why are they printing all of this money, you might ask? If you've got to ask that question at this point, where have you been? They're printing more money because the banks are collapsing. That's why, because there's all of these withdrawals on the banks. Now, of course, that narrative is causing Bitcoin's price to go up right now. And Bitcoin, to be honest, is looking very, very healthy. We've got a bit of an inverse head and shoulders pattern forming right now, which we could expect the neckline to be around these levels. Now, my personal projection for where I expect the price of Bitcoin to get overnight or tomorrow morning is back up to this level here, around $28,300. Now, I'm currently long on the price of Bitcoin, and I also want to point out to you another thing right now, which is what I'm expecting to happen to the DXY, which is the value of the US dollar currency index. Now, that is the value of one US dollar against itself. And if this chart is going to the downside, Bitcoin is going to the upside. And this is the exact formation that I expect the DXY is going to follow next week, following an additional print of $100 billion. Typically, you wouldn't expect the dollar to rise in price if the Fed is increasing the amount of dollars on their balance sheet, devaluing all of the currency in existence. Now, being that the Fed has increased the balance sheet by 4% over the course of the past 2 weeks now, you would expect the price of the DXY, or the value of US dollar, to drop. Because, of course, if you're inflating supply and demand is not increasing according to supply, you would expect the value of that thing to drop. So, in terms of what we're expecting for the US dollar, that looks pretty gosh darn bearish right now. But, of course, the real question on Bitcoin right now is, where does the CME gap sit? And I want to show you that. If you ever wanted to know where the CME gap is on, TradingView, go to the BTC1 chart. That shows you essentially where the CME gap is currently sitting. And as you can see, $27,915. So we should have a bit of a nice weekly close this week for a change. We shouldn't be dropping to the downside because the CME gap currently sits higher than the price of Bitcoin right now, with Bitcoin's price sitting slightly lower than that level. Now, I'm positioned long right now on the price of Bitcoin. Why am I long? Because I expect the price is going to increase. But in today's video, I'm going to show you in depth what I'm expecting from the price of Bitcoin, what I intend on doing with my current open trades, and of course, what is going to go on with the price of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. How is the altcoin market going to react, and which bank is going to crash next week? As well as, of course, talking a little bit about what the Fed is doing here with all of this money printing. So if you're interested in that, drop a like on today's video. I would appreciate that. We're trying to get 1,000 likes on every single video, but just drop a like on it. Make sure, of course, if you are new, subscribe to the channel. My name's Jordan. Talk about cryptocurrency on the internet here every single day. So if you're ever wanting the question, drop it in the comment section, and I answer the first kind of 50 comments on every single video. So, without further ado, let's crack straight on. $27,874. But what is Bitcoin looking like on the lower time frames right now? Because this is the setup. The setup is actually looking pretty decent. If we're zooming out on the price of Bitcoin right now, you can see in terms of a macro trend, the macro trend is very much looking just healthy. This looks really, really good. And especially because we're abiding by this lower level of support here. But this is support, or resistance turn support, because this line here was preventing us to break to the upside, and now it's holding us to the upside. And we're looking at this final level of resistance here on the price of Bitcoin. That final level of resistance is currently sat at $28,500. Now, a break on Bitcoin of $28,500, things get fun really quickly because the price is probably going to rise very significantly. Now, if we broke through that level, what would we expect to happen? Now, of course, we need to look at the volume range profile right now. So if you drop over to the 4-hour chart and look at a slightly higher time frame of what would happen, essentially, I expect that we come up and reach this higher liquidity band up here during the course of the next week. Now, that is currently $30,000. I think that before any kind of serious retracement in the price of Bitcoin, in theory, according to the theory, Bitcoin should hit $30,000, and I'm positioning myself for that eventuality. Of course, I've got stop losses in place in case that scenario doesn't arise, but I am expecting it to happen based off like the volume that we're seeing on the markets right now, based off the interest that we're seeing in crypto, and mainly based off the just sheer inadequacy of financial management that we're seeing in the banks. banks are centralized. You rely on these people with degrees to manage your money in a bank. And currently, do you know how much reserves a bank has to hold in the USA? Like you deposit your money, they lend it out to somebody. Do you know how much of that they've got to keep on the balance sheet in case you want to withdraw? The answer is zero. They have to keep zero legally on the balance sheet for you to be able to withdraw, meaning that a lot of the banks right now are finding themselves that they've loaned out between 60 and 80% of the funds within the bank, and now confidence in banks is declining, and the value of the US dollar, I mean, you're all seeing it going down because of what's going on here with all of this money printing. The Fed is having to essentially bail out all of these banks because of the fear surrounding the fact that banks have been having these bad banking practices. And if more than 20% of people that hold an account on a bank account want to withdraw, those banks go bankrupt. We've seen it twice now, 3-4 times actually. If we actually look at some of these banks that have already crashed, the first one would be to look at where would it be? Over here somewhere. So Wells Fargo is one of the ones that I expect is going to have a really rough week next week. But the ones that have already gone would be Credit Suisse, which is now trading again down, but it's not trading today, of course, but this is how it's finished. Again, just to point out what Credit Suisse's chart looks like over the past however long, this looks like a lot of different altcoins. It used to be $78 a share, currently sat at 86 cents a share. That is a bank. This is meant to be safe. Anyway, one of the other things to point out right now would, of course, be how First Republic Bank finished the week. This is First Republic Bank. This looks like, I mean, pretty much I'm expecting 1 or 2 more banks to go bankrupt next week. But in terms of size, I expect the size of the banks to be more serious. In terms of the banks that I'm looking at right now, in terms of the ones that I've researched, Wells Fargo is only capitalized around 70%, which is, I mean, in terms of they've lent out 70% of the funds that they've got. That's not the correct way. They've capitalized at 30%, meaning that basically a few billionaires, if they pull out, everybody pulls out of Wells Fargo, and then at that point Wells Fargo goes pop. There could not be a better bank in the USA to wish goes bankrupt than Wells Fargo. It is just a terrible, terrible organization. The other one I'm looking at right now is Bank of America, but that's not really been struggling quite as much. Deutsche Bank, of course, is my main one in terms of European bank that I expect to go bankrupt. Now, we've already seen Credit Suisse go. I expect UBS has probably got a couple more weeks in it, but Deutsche Bank, for me, is the one that is going to go next week. I'd be surprised if it doesn't go. I expect some kind of bailout in Deutsche Bank. If you look at how Deutsche Bank shares closed towards the back end of last week, and there's a few other ones like Citibank. If we actually look at like Citibank shares, Citibank is struggling right now. This is 2008 financial crisis. Citibank was $500 a share, dropped down to $20 a share, has never really recovered in price, and is currently testing the lows right now. And if that confidence drops anymore, you'll see that Citigroup crashes to zero. Citigroup, by the way, is one of the world's largest banks. Deutsche Bank is one of the largest banks in Europe. And again, 2008 financial crisis, current financial crisis. For the current financial crisis, in terms of orders of magnitude, is already being quite severe. From bottom to top to where we are right now, the total drop on Deutsche Bank shares has been 28.94%. However, I expect that is going to get worse. I would be surprised if it gets better. I mean, technically, looking at this, you go, look, inverse head and shoulders pattern forming here. But I would be surprised to see that play out, given that there are fundamental factors at play that would suggest, no, that is not going to play out. We're likely to see the value of the US dollar declining in a fashion similar to this. At the same time, we're expecting to see more money printing throughout the course of the next week to bail out these banks. And if that narrative continues, we're going to see more bank bailouts, we're going to see more money printing, and that means, of course, the price of Bitcoin is going to go up. Because what do you do if you are a billionaire and you need to withdraw, because you're only insured by the US government, $250,000 is the state insurance that they give you, or government insurance that they give you. If you've got more than 250 grand in the bank account, what do you do with it? You can't buy houses because most of the debt that is locked up in these banks is house debt, is mortgage debt, and the banks can't just dump houses on the market. You need people to buy those off you. So in that scenario, you can't buy houses because the housing market will likely crash. So the next best thing is, you can't buy $1 billion worth of watches. You can buy really expensive cars. If you've seen a lot of the auctions recently, there's some silly prices going on, like a 76 million euro Mercedes sold quite recently. I think it was an SLS or something like this. One of the Gullwings sold recently. A lot of money. You can put money into stuff like that, but again, it's niche. Not a lot of people have access to that, and again, the difficult assets to offload. It's likely that we see a lot of billionaires starting to buy Bitcoin, and this is all making up my theory. So once we've crossed through this liquidity range here at $30,000, there is no liquidity on the price of Bitcoin, or serious liquidity, until the price of Bitcoin gets up to $39,000. I know everyone thinks that we should be in a bear market right now. They're wrong. They're just wrong. We should be in a bear market right now, but we're not, due to fundamental factors that are out of the control of anybody other than these moron bankers that have just like destroyed everything. And again, I don't understand why. So how am I playing this right now? I've taken a long on Bitcoin near or at the current levels. I think my long is from $27,900. If I just check on it right now, $27,900 or $28,000, somewhere. Yeah, there it is. You can see my long position. It's at these levels here. I actually took it in this range right here during the pump to the upside, and then a long weekend, you could say, because of the size of the trade. And as it is right now, I'm sat at $3,700 in a loss. But I am long on the price of Bitcoin, and it is currently an $868,000 long position. Like, I am fairly confident on this. And I know it says cross 100x leverage. I'm not using 100x. I'm using around 3x leverage on this trade. I put around $300,000 of capital down as it sits right now. And I expect it's probably going to pay off. And if it doesn't pay off, it's going to be a sucky one, but I'll soak it up. I'll go back and reset the theory and try again. Other ways that I'm trying to play the market right now would be, of course, the altcoin space. A lot of altcoins in the past couple of weeks have dropped down significantly in terms of their Satoshi values. One of those altcoins, of course, would be TAP. TAP's price right now is forming pretty much just like a rounding off bottom. So I'm going to buy some of this pretty soon. I'll boop it back to the upside. Like the order books are not looking that strong, to be honest. Like there's a lot in this range here, but once you get up to this range here, there's not an awful lot. And again, when the price starts pumping, generally those order books pull back because people don't actually want to sell. They're just trying to pressure it into their buys. If you look at these buys down here, that 12 million one down there at 19 is me. If anybody fancies selling me 12 million coins, I'll happily buy them off you, but I don't think anybody is going to be so stupid as to sell me them at that price. I'd be very, very shocked and also very, very pleased to acquire them down there. So from my perspective, all that is lacking right now in the altcoin market is market buying. People are placing limit orders like me. We're filling up the order books on the buy side. Look, clearly the buy side is so much thicker than the sell side right now on top. And as soon as the price starts moving to the upside, people don't actually want to sell. They're just a little bit worried right now. So you've got a few worried orders in the order book. You're seeing this replicated throughout so many altcoins right now. I think there's a lot of good things to be buying, like Daffy, Caps, TAP. And I've been researching one more recently. Not recently. We've been researching now for 3 months. When I actually publish the documents on this stuff, as well as the video that comes out for the next like 100x altcoin or whatever, I'm going to publish a 27-page research document detailing every single reason why I believe this next one is going to pop a 100x wheelie. Because honestly, in terms of the research and the quality of the stuff that we're doing here at TMG Enterprises, whatever you want to call it, it's going up. And I really believe that there is a space in the market right now for significant altcoin investment, because I believe that there is a whole market that is about to boom. And I think that going big on altcoins right now is going to be the correct play. Even if Bitcoin is to stay around these prices, why do I expect that? Well, because of Ethereum's versus Bitcoin price. Now, this is Ethereum versus Bitcoin right now. This is the chart that I drew in the previous video. You can see like inverse head and shoulders pattern starting to arise. We can already see we're starting to get a bit of a bounce to the upside, a little bit of a rejection over the past 24-hour period. But if we're to zoom in on Ethereum versus Bitcoin, from my perspective, this looks stupendous. Yeah, it had a bit of a pump to the upside, but I actually think that's more to do with the market buy that was on Coinbase today. That is not replicated throughout the entire market. We didn't see that throughout the entire market. We just saw it on Coinbase. So you can actually see a narrowing of these bands right here. And I expect that Ethereum versus Bitcoin is going to have a bit of a bullish week at some point in the next 2 weeks. It depends what Bitcoin does, because if Bitcoin pumps again, this will drop to the downside. Altcoins will have one more rough week, but at some point that balance is going to switch, and when the balance switch, you want to already be in. So for me, it's like this dollar cost averaging type situation where I'm buying a little bit every single day of a bunch of different things that I like. I'm not throwing loads of money at it all in one go. I'm slowly buying, slowly accumulating, and eventually we'll make it through, and it'll be a very, very good time of it, hopefully. So just to cover what we've already covered so far, just to recap everything: current price of Bitcoin, 27,871. CME gap currently sitting at 27,915. As it sits right now, the market does look very positive in terms of for Bitcoin. The banking industry looks like it might collapse. At the same time, that'll cause people to throw lots of money at stocks, shares, and Bitcoin, because what else can you buy when you withdraw all that money from a bank? So overall, market looks pretty good. It looks an exciting week next week. Weekly close is looking pretty decent, and hopefully, just hopefully, fingers crossed, it goes well, because it's been on a right tear recently. Ever since we pumped up from 16 grand, we've been bob on the channel, made some very, very good returns, and exciting times ahead. So on that note, guys, please do drop a like on today's video, especially if you enjoyed it. Check out the tutorial that you'll see on the screen right now if you are new to trading and you want to learn more. And have a fantastic, fantastic day. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. Subscribe.